All right. Hello, everybody. Happy 6th of July. Hope you all had a safe and happy 4th. I know I still have all my fingers and toes, so I did well.
Did you go fishing?
Well, kind of, not really. On the 3rd, we took a graduation party out to play with the Dolphins, and it was really cool. I finally got some people to swim with the Dolphins.
Oh,
So it was really cool. You get a bunch of crazy kids, they'll do anything. So I got them right in the middle of just a massive school of dolphins, and they all just boom right in the water with them. It was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, really cool. And then the evening of the 3rd, they had a big fireworks show off of a barge in the harbor. So we pulled out and just kind of sat right there under the fireworks show and watched that. And then I put up my own fireworks show in Huntington Beach yesterday, or was it yesterday? No, day before yesterday. I don't even know where I'm at now. I guess it's the 6th already. So, and July is off to a bang. All right. So anyway, I've gotten a ton of questions about the lead generation thing. So I wanted to address that first. And some of the questions are in relationship to, can it be specific to local markets? And yes, it can. You can generate leads based on a geographic location, like by a zip code and how many miles out you want to go. You can definitely do that. There's some other pieces to this program that I didn't really mention yet, but I'll talk about them now. They're not, again, this whole thing is in beta. That's why it's the beta test. So you guys will, whoever's involved in the beta test will be able to test this when it goes to that phase, which will be next week. I've decided to put it to next week because just too many things going on. There's too many moving parts to do it too soon. So next week, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a video out, and I might just do a live Zoom for all the beta testers and get you guys on a live Zoom and kind of walk you through the control panel. And the way it is in the beta is I'm going to actually have to create the campaigns on the back end because we don't have the user interface completely connected for the front end yet.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I can tell you that it's working really well as far as generating the lead part. So that'll be pretty cool. But I will do, probably next week sometime, I'll do a live Zoom, get everybody on, answer all the questions, all that stuff. But probably one of the most important things with this is throttling it, because these are leads based on like a $2 acquisition cost for the lead, and if you don't throttle it, you could wind up with 1,000 of them overnight, and that might be more than you want. So that will be an important piece, is throttling it back. For those of you that know how to convert and you've got converting funnels, you might only want to throttle it minimally until you see that it works, and then you can ramp it up accordingly. So, the way that you would ramp this up is just strictly giving it more keywords. The more keywords that you give it, the more leads it's going to generate, because it's generating the leads specific to a keyword. Now, it's not just that somebody searched the keyword, because that would make a really crummy lead, because there's a lot of people that search keywords, just randomly. They search, they look, they leave. That's not really what I consider a lead. I consider it a lead when they've run the search and they've consumed 2 pieces of relevant content. So what that means is they clicked and they read some material related to that click, and then they did it again. So they went to at least 2 different pages to actually consume content based on that initial search phrase. That tells me this person is truly interested in this topic. So to me, that qualifies them as a lead. So that's how we're getting them. That's how we're qualifying them as leads. It's also not 100% because we might collect, 1,000 and we may only be able to get the data on 500 of them.
The relevant content, is that the content on my website, or is it going to be
That's
websites?
across the internet. They
Okay.
don't ever have to have been to your website for this.
Okay, good.
So yeah, no, it's not based on your content at all. It's relevant content anywhere on the internet that's based on that search phrase. So back to the other piece that it also does, if you want to do it, is you can actually put a pixel code, like a retargeting pixel or a Facebook pixel, whatever you guys are familiar with. You can actually put one of those on your site and it can generate the leads off of everyone that's visited your site. So we're calling that site ID or site AI basically. And then we're calling the other one search AI. So it's using the AI to take people that are coming to your website, and what it's looking for, there's a thing called a maid. And what a maid is, how many people have heard of a maid other than the person that cleans your house? A maid in marketing is a marketing ID. So MAID, marketing ID, that's a maid. The thing that is important about a maid is a maid allows you to follow them with retargeting. That's how retargeting works. So when you retarget someone, you actually are getting their marketing ID to follow them around. So what this will do is this will not only give you the person that went to your site, it will also give you their marketing ID so you can go out to other ad networks and do retargeting with these. So it's a very well-rounded lead generation system. Not only will it give you the contact information, it'll also give you that marketing ID if you want to follow them. And when I say follow them, I mean follow them with ads, like retargeting. So that means, when they go to other people's sites where banners display, your banner would display in front of them. And what's important about that is they say that people need to see something a certain amount of times before they get recognition to it. And it's somewhere between 7 and 14 times. Once they've seen you 7 to 14 times, they start recognizing it. And then you start coming top of mind when they start thinking about that as a purchase decision. So it's like you become familiar. I know when you go into the supermarket and you're walking down the toothpaste aisle. When was the last time you looked at the toothpaste aisle? It's overwhelming. There's about 50 different toothpastes and you're like, they all say the same thing. Which one is the one? And it's the one that they got in your head with their marketing. Like Crest, most people grab Crest because Crest had a massive advertising budget, or Colgate. There's all the other little brands, but they don't have the brand recognition. So nobody picks them up unless it's like catering to a specialty. So there's always carved out niches for specialties where they don't want the big brand. They want like the organic one or the one that's healthy for them or, whatever. So not across the board, but if it's top of mind, you have a much better chance of the average person just picking it up hypnotically. So that's where retargeting can come in. And again, this is stuff that like a lot of you aren't ready for it yet, but you need to know about it so you can get ready for it, because this is what the bigger companies, this is what the internet marketers are doing that are really killing it. They're creating brand recognition by getting in front of people over and over and over. You start seeing them everywhere. Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
Hey, John, that makes me think of something. It seems like, for example, you go on the internet and you go to a site and all of a sudden, all these ads start popping up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're now down in a banner below, they're on the side. I mean, it seems, I don't know if it's just me, but recently it just seems like there's just more and more of them. I mean, you gotta click to get rid of them. Is that
Yeah,
related
no,
to this at all?
that's what I'm talking about. They got
Okay.
your marketing ID, and it's not new. You're probably just noticing it. It's been going on for several years.
Well, yeah, no, I know, I see things come up and it's like, well, I was looking at a pair of shoes, somewhere else. And now
Yeah.
all of a sudden, here's some shoes, but it just seems it's much more bold now. I mean, it's like more in your face as opposed to something that's smaller, but
Well,
that's
it depends entirely on the advertiser.
okay.
Like there's some advertisers that are very aggressive. They'll follow you 100 times a day.
Yeah, it's
Like,
annoying.
yeah, it's like too much of a good thing, right?
Yeah, okay.
So,
So that's what that, okay. Thanks,
yeah,
John.
exactly. When you go to set up like a retargeting campaign, there's a bunch of different settings. Anytime you're setting up an ad campaign, there's a lot of settings. So you can set the frequency and the total number of impressions that you want to each marketing ID. So they could say, hey, if we get Rick's marketing ID, we want to show our shoes to him 10 times a day for 2 weeks.
Hmm.
And that's what you'll get. And they might say, hey, just show it to him a couple times a day, every other day for the next month. So you can totally control the level of aggression that you want to do your
Nice.
campaigns with.
Interesting.
And I agree, if they get too much, then you start going, oh God, I hate this company.
Yeah, pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah. So the idea is to be useful, not intrusive.
Yeah.
So I don't like the guys with email. It's the same thing. You get on an email list and they'll send you 10 emails a day. It's like, come on, guys, stop. This is ridiculous. But they do it, the really aggressive ones. And what they'll tell you is I don't care. If you opt out, you weren't my customer anyway.
Yeah.
So you can look at it from both sides of the fence. I just don't want to be that guy. I don't want them opting out because I'm hammering, clubbing them over the head. I've never found that to be appealing myself. So I always operate under the thing, do unto others as you want done to yourself. So
Good point.
yeah, but they have a point. They have a point if they want to. They're in business to sell stuff, and unfortunately, they don't really care. So they're going to sell to the highest level that they can sell, and damned everything in the way. And they do sell a lot of stuff. So you got to give it to them that way. They're accomplishing their goal, but that's somebody you want to do business with. So to me, it's not worth giving up the relationship that you could potentially create to do business with them forever versus clubbing them over the head. It's one or the other. Like I had a conversation with Ryan Dice and Perry Belcher back before 2010, and they were telling me that my price was too low. My $29 a month. They said, that's ridiculous. You can't do that. You're giving up everything. You're giving the farm away. And I said, well, what do you think it should be? And they said, well, at least 147. And I'm like, at 147, they'd probably stay for about 2 months, maybe a month. And then I asked them, I said, how much is your program? They said, it's 147. And I said, what's your lifetime value on that? And they said, on a good day, it's 90 days. I said, so you're going to take 147, that's basically $450, and burn that person, where I'm going to take $30 a month and I'm going to keep them for 5 years. And I'm going to sell them all kinds of stuff that they probably need along the way. And they looked at it and they're like, oh, okay, I see your point. But these are, I can't really put them down because they make way more money than I do. They're way more aggressive, but you know, they've got a massive operation. They've got huge overhead. They've got a gazillion employees working for them. You know, they have to do that to survive. But, you know, I just never aspired to operate in that realm. I can do just good on my own and, you know, not have to do all that crazy stuff. I'd rather have everybody like me at the end of the day than have, you know, a handful of people just give me more money. So maybe I'm a nutcase. I don't know. Probably. All right. Is there anything, I know there was a bunch of other questions about the lead thing that I may or may not have gotten out, but did you guys have any questions about that or anything else by that?
Hey, yeah, Tom Kozlowski, how are you?
Hey, Tom. Good to see you.
Yeah, good. I've been enjoying all your fishing pictures, so I'm back. I'm back. Hey, John, just to clarify on the lead thing, and I stepped in a minute late. I know you covered it, but I just want to clarify. So you're basically saying through the search terminology, whatever it's called, let's call it widget manufacturing. So it's not like these are called like the SHA-256 on your own site, and you could come up with a like audience. You're saying somebody travels to someone else's site with regards to widget manufacturing, we're capturing that?
That's correct.
Wow, that's wild. That's I've been around this a long time. That's some heavy stuff. That's
yeah. And not only that, we're able to, what we're doing, we're using AI to do this.
okay.
So the AI takes somebody that runs a search phrase and it follows them. It basically uses the marketing ID to follow them, just like a retargeting ad would.
Right.
And it looks at the content they're consuming. And we've got it currently set to where if they consume 2 relevant pieces of content, that hits our ticker and that qualifies them as an actual lead, not just a tire kicker.
That's a whole different ballgame. Yeah. Now, John, when we create these audiences, would you have recommended platforms? Like, for example, in the past, we had our own platform on the RTB exchange, but that's a long time ago. I think you know who it was. Well, yeah. But basically, so now moving forward, as we create these, for lack of a better term, these custom audiences, would you have some suggestions on how we could utilize them? Besides obvious, you know, like where, you know, like to Rick's point earlier, it's funny. I remember when we used to talk about annoying. I think there was points when people would go to their, I think people would open up their medicine cabinet and see a banner there because but like you said, it was all on the advertiser above the fold, below the fold, one time a day, times a day, 5,000 times a day. It was the greed or the obnoxiousness of the advertiser. But you could use some good platforms here to, you know, at that point, would you have some suggestions for us on where we would use these?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what the lead is generated by the name, the physical mailing address, the phone number, and the email address, and including the marketing ID.
Right. Okay.
So there's basically multiple things that you could do with these leads, and it would also depend on your campaign.
Mm-hmm.
If you were selling a high-end thing, we've discovered pretty much that high-end things need high touch contact to sell them. And that means phone calls. So we would recommend that you actually do cold calling to these leads because these are not necessarily cold leads. They might be a cold lead to you, as obviously they don't know you yet.
Right.
But this is somebody that's looking for something that you offer.
Yes.
So a call to them is, hey, did you find the whatever you were looking for yet? I had some information to share with you if you're still looking. And they might say, oh, no, I already got it. Fine, click, done, over. They might just lean in and say, oh, yeah, what do you got? You know, if they truly are interested in something.
No, I couldn't agree because we were running something recently, you know, having to do with financial loans, and we were getting a 10% click through rate, which is pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. However impressive that is, there's still 90% of those people came to that site and they weren't looking for a washing machine. They had some sort of interest in what we're selling, and that 90% of the people go. Now, so besides the search traffic, we're also going to be able to place, as you said, that code on our own site.
Yes.
What do you get, a percentage? You would get typically a percentage. You're not going to get 100% of it, but you get a nice.
That's correct.
Right, I got you.
You'll basically get anybody that is in the system.
in the system. Right. I got
If you've got somebody that's never filled out an opt-in form before,
Right,
we're not going to get them.
right, okay.
But what has to have happened is the big data, see, the big data is collecting this through opt-in forms all over the internet. So if someone has opted in for anything, like let's say they're looking for the washer and dryer right now, but last week they might have opted in for a dishwasher.
Right.
So they're in the system now. So
Mhm.
when they start now looking for a washer and dryer, you can match up the new interest with the old data. So in some cases, they might have opted into something a year ago and the information might not be correct. It might not be accurate because of that.
And John, at this stage of the game, I heard it described to me one day. Well, listen, somebody said, well, do you have a phone? I said, yes. They said, well, you're opted in. Basically, if you have a phone and you have an app on your phone, you're opted in someplace along the line here. It's just a question. That's how crazy it's gotten, correct?
Exactly. That's it. And, we're not in the front end of this thing anymore.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys go back far enough in the internet space that in the beginning, when spam was a real hot issue, you couldn't even send an email without getting flamed. They called it getting flamed. And they had a group of people that were all together, and they were like this army of spam assassins, if for lack of a better word. And if you got on their list, they all had nothing better to do than just to send hot pings to your site and take your site down and send you a bunch of garbage email just to load your box up. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. And, we got that point too. People were very angry when people started calling their cell phones, right? Started texting them stuff. And now, you can opt out if you don't like it. But it's become common. It's not like it's the first time and you're just furious that somebody got your cell phone number. So that's kind of where we are in the adoption process of this. So dealing with leads like this is pretty commonplace.
Right.
It's a matter of, who is going to be on that sweet spot of right now with AI. This technology is opening up some major opportunities for lead generation. And for most people that build online funnels, traffic is always the issue. Most people never get there because they never really get through the process, but the ones that do, the people that actually get a functioning funnel in place and it converts and it actually is working, they've followed the system and they've actually built a working model of a funnel. Now it comes traffic time and then they fail because it's hard to set up Facebook ads. It's hard to run a Google pay-per-click campaign. It's hard to do SEO. That's where your traffic comes from. So you get to this point in the process where you've got this huge hurdle, and this solves the problem now. So it's.
And I remember when we would sit in car dealerships, to your point, like you could rest assured the platforms are going to spend your money. In other words, if you have $100 a day, now was there at $1 a click, was there 100 car buyers or just one car buyer? Well, Google's not going to say, well, we're not going to spend your other $99 for you. They're going to, they miraculously spend your budget every day, no matter what it is. It just, your point, the leads were, in many cases, they probably didn't even have driver's license, never mind wanted to buy a car. So that's, we a lot of that.
Exactly. But as far as like the scaling of the leads here, this is the part that I really was blown away by, because I've done pay-per-click ads for SEO software before. And that was what my initial test was on, was like SEO software. And I know that for me to do pay-per-click, I was paying between $12 and $20 a click. And I think my average was about $18 a click. Now it would take me approximately 50 clicks to get an opt-in. So at 50 times 18, that's like $900 per opt-in. That's what I was paying for my leads, $900 each. And even at that point, it was hard for me to buy enough of them because I wasn't willing to pay to $30 and $40 a click. I
Right.
was willing to go up to 20. And in that realm of traffic that they were allowed, or they were willing to sell me at that price, I would only get, a few clicks a day.
Yeah.
And then it'd take me 50 clicks before I got a lead. Now, when I set this program up, I gave it a handful of keywords, and I set it up somewhere around midnight and turned it on, and I went to bed, and I woke up, I had almost 700 leads. And I was just like, holy shit. I'm like, wow. And these are not clicks. These are contacts. These are people I could email, I could call, I could text, I could sell them something. And I knew what they wanted. So it's a serious game changer.
That is, I'm excited, but well, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. So
John?
me being the pain in the ass that I am, I went back to the programmers last week after I did that test. And I'm like, guys, you got to help me out here. We need to pipe this into a mailer so we can automate the mailing and follow up of this process. I reached out to the Kartra board, and I told them what I had. I'm like, I got a tiger by the tail here. We need to cage him. And I was talking to them, and their biggest thing, I knew what it was going to be, was piping cold leads into Kartra. I knew they were not going to go for that. So I said, what about this? I said, are you guys cool with this? If I set up a third-party mailing program with SendGrid, and I pipe the cold leads through SendGrid, which they don't have a problem with. They're fine with bulk mail. So I can pipe these leads through SendGrid, send them an offer that goes to a Kartra page to actually opt them into Kartra. And they said, that's fine. No problem whatsoever. So that's how I'm going to take these cold leads and warm them and get them into Kartra for automated follow-up sequence using Kartra. I haven't quite figured out what to do with the phone leads, but if you're selling a high-end thing and you're running a call center, we can pipe these leads in through a Google Doc, and you can probably import them right into your dialers and just have them smiling and dialing. And the other thing, it actually has their physical address. And I know some of the high-end marketers, they have been doing, over the last couple of years, they've been doing this because they say it is a red ocean that turned blue again. And it's the idea of physical mail, sending postcards. So they're sending postcards with special offers that you have to go through online to take advantage of the offer. So the postcard, they're taking the postcard to their computer, they're typing in the code, going to a website and opting in to get the free offers. And that's how they're getting them into their online systems. And they say it didn't work for a long time because, as you guys know, if you remember back a few years, when you went to your mailbox, it was a big ball of crap, and half of it went in the trash. And then after careful consideration, 90% of the rest went in the trash. And you might have had one or two relevant things out of a handful. So you started just ignoring it. It was just doom, 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 in the trash, in the trash, in the trash. You didn't even look at it because it was too much. It was overwhelming, just like email has become in a lot of cases. But now all the advertisers gave up. It didn't work. It stopped working. Well, it's back in style now, because now they go to their mailbox and they see a cool postcard and it's like, oh, wow, somebody sent me something. I feel special again. So they've found that is working again. So creating an offer, you can feed your funnel. Your funnel doesn't have to be fed with online leads. Your funnel can be fed with outside the internet leads. You can go out into the real world and bring people into the online space. It works really well. Remember, people bought all this stuff in the real world before the internet was here. They're very used to buying things outside the internet. The ideal thing, though, is if you can go and scoop them out there and bring them into an automated sales process. That's what, that's what makes me excited, is going out and scooping the outside world and bringing them into an online automated sales process.
John, quick question. Is there any geo, I mean, outside the obvious through the search term, is there any geo aspect to this if you need it?
Yes, absolutely. Just like any ad campaign, you can set the geo targeting on this as well.
Oh, wow.
You can say anybody that's searching for a car dealership in the Chicago area and give me a 10-mile radius.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
All right. Let's see. Roger, you've had your hand up there.
Yeah, John, hopefully the road noise isn't too bad. Could you recap for me? You had said earlier, these leads are best if they've also gone to 2 points of contact or content. So
Yeah.
not just the search term, but 2 points of content can be any website. How can you discern what they've done beyond that search?
It's from the marketing ID. The marketing ID is how you follow them around. So if that marketing ID shows up on a website that's got similar content, then we're flagging that as number one. And then they go to another website that's got relevant content. That's flag number two. Now it's qualified in our system as a lead.
So I'm familiar with using a pixel for retargeting on your own website, but you're saying you can drop a marketing ID that they'll run into on other people's websites that you can then tag that lead to indicate that they are a hotter lead.
Yeah, so the way it works is, the way the marketing ID works is everyone has a marketing ID. Like you have a physical marketing ID for your persona. When you go to my website and I have a pixel on there, I am basically picking that up and I'm telling the ad network, hey, anybody with this marketing ID, I'd like to show my ad to. So then they go out and they post that on all their network. And then when you show up on someone else's site, they know it and they display my ad to you. That's the way standard typical retargeting works. So the fact that you've got that marketing ID, the system that AI overlooks knows exactly where you're going, knows exactly what you're consuming. It also knows your trigger point was the keyword, and it's going to tell me how many sites you've gone to that are related to that keyword. So that's how we're identifying you as a prospect, a lead, with 2 content pieces consumed after the search for that specific term.
Okay, that's just scary cool. Thank you, John.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
All right, Richard.
Hey, John. I was wondering if there's a possibility of adding the next level of scary cool to this thing, because
I love scary cool.
if a person is, you use the example of someone looking for a washing machine. Okay, great. Who that person is makes no difference.
Correct.
The leads that you ran, and there's 21. It's interesting. There were 21 keywords and half of them totaled only, I think it was 26 of the 850. So there was another 825 for the last 6 words. Because they're SEO software related, the question is whether or not that person is just a homeowner whose son started talking about SEO software and they were wondering what SEO software was. They really aren't interested in buying SEO software. Or if they're the purchasing manager for a company, that's an important thing to know. Who these people are. Is there any way of getting any additional information? Like, are they the CEO of a company? Or are they just a regular consumer? Is there any way of at least making that level of cut? Because all the other lead generation software out there is basically they'll automate a Google search for plumbers in San Diego, and there's your list of leads. Well, that's not even I mean, you open up a phone book. I mean, if you can find one, that's about what the level of is. But
That's actually on my flow chart for the next round of this thing. So the next round in the flow chart is to have the AI match it up to LinkedIn and find out what their job title is, and also pull some basic demographic information.
yeah, because that's really, really critical, because we're, most of the stuff that you and I have been doing prior to, I guess, recently, when it sounds like you may have wandered off the path a little bit, but it seems like you're doing primarily B2B type stuff where you need to have some of that B2B info. Otherwise, okay, I know that they consume this content, but I still don't know who in the hell they are. So it's still going to be, creepy following them around, because at least if I can call them, hey, Bob, can I talk, that's a whole different conversation, really specifically when you're doing cold calling, because I don't know who I'm cold calling. I don't know anything about them. I'm having to consider doing some basic search, on one of these ID sites or something, to see if I can at least find out something about who these people are, other than just a name, address, and phone number.
Yeah, that'll be in probably our second round. But we got to get the first round up first. Also, those leads will cost more because there's more data feeds to pay for to get the extra data.
I would assume that, but it's really important when you call up somebody that you aren't just one of these stalkers that's been following around the internet. That whole, how do you approach somebody cold when you know more about them than they know that you know, but you really don't want to let them know that you've been sitting around in their pin protector, in their pocket protector, while they're going around on the internet,
Yeah, that's definitely on the front end. First goal really is just to get leads for those that need to fill their funnels, and then we'll move on to that. So for sure.
So it is primarily an email outreach for this first round of stuff, because we really don't have enough to really, unless we do it manually, we don't have enough information to do any first party data contact information on, right?
Well, you could. I mean, you just have to open it up with a round of phishing. So I would basically approach it. If you were going to call them, I would just say, hey, I understand you were looking for XYZ. I was just wondering if you found a solution yet, or if you were open to hearing about ours.
What do you mean you heard about me looking for stuff? What does that mean?
That means your marketing ID showed up. You can be totally honest with them. You were pixeled on a site with this interest, and we have, we're part of an ad network, and that's how we got your data.
Well, that's helpful. Okay,
That's how I mean, there's no reason to lie to them. You're trying to establish a relationship with them, and you say, by the way, this is really cool the way we're doing this. You might want to do this for your business. I can help you with that if you like.
Yeah, much, much better. I guess I'm just not devious enough or bright enough to figure it out. That's why I'm on these calls, John. Thanks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, Lauren, go ahead and unmute.
Hey, can y'all hear me? Because I have to change my mics. My mics is not doing what it needs to do.
Yeah,
Okay,
clear.
cool. Oh, nice. I would just wanted to, well, I'm excited for the lead gen stuff, because I have a call center and other things. And
Awesome.
so like, it's very difficult in my space to even advertise, because they will blow 100,000 a month just to make sure no one else can advertise, basically in our space.
Yeah.
So even though they won't take a client that's small, like unless you're AT&T, they don't want you, but they block all of us from really having a chance at advertising. So that's kind of what happens in my space. I will warn that, like, and using this, because I'm very much into data and tech and all that stuff, and there's a lot of compliance issues that are going on. And so what you don't, especially with 10 DLC, with how you send text messages, how can you get data? So whatever you take and how you reach out to people, you got to be able to prove with explicitly in written proof that they opted in, especially with text messages. So you can't just cold text message people. You have to have explicit proof. So like, in a way, I've been reworking this, because I have clients that I really had to register their numbers in order for us to use them in the first place. So that
Is that
if
the
we
same
get,
with calling? I know texting. I wouldn't
yeah, the
doing
text
any
message, yes,
texting.
calling, they did make some changes because it's that compliance for 10 DLC. Plus there's another one from TCPA that they had voted on, which is gonna, like, I'm watching it because I was like, well, do I need to change everything of how we do it or not? So yeah, that's basically, it's like, I see what your law is, great, I'm just gonna go around it.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
basically.
there must have been something changed recently, because I know for a long time I wasn't getting very many calls, and now my cell phone's just ringing off the hook with all these callers. So I know something
Yeah,
loosened up.
yeah, something must have changed, like, because the numbers had to be verified, like all numbers had to be registered to a business if you're a business doing outreach. And so
Okay.
like even it, like there's like several different things that people use, whether it's open phone or, you know, Ring Central, you have to register your business with your number, even if it's like basic, like, hey, you booked an appointment for me on Tuesday, here's your reminder. Like you have to register that, like something that simple. So like whatever you guys do, just be careful, because you got the it's, you know, what catches people, it's not so much the big compliance people, it's like the fake lawsuits that happen, those big
Yeah.
machines of a fake lawsuit company, and they just go and literally scrape your information to catch you, to put you in a lawsuit for you to get something. And I've been through that. It's not fun.
Yeah,
So
yeah. We went through that with the ADA compliancy, and we wound up putting the ADA widgets on a lot of websites to prevent that, because yeah, that was a pain too.
yeah, I get caught up. I'm like, shit, I'm a call center, so they always looking for me. They always looking for me. And most of the time what we do is we do a lot of lead management, and then we do a virtual receptionist stuff. So it's like, well, does my client compliant? Because I could just be calling out just to give appointment reminders, or to be like, hey, you need to bring this paper with you for like a lawyer or something for a client. And then you get caught up in somebody's random lawsuit was talking about you violated blah, blah, blah. And so those things are never fun, but I'm looking forward to testing it with like that niche. And then of course I have my fandom niches too. I
That's
would
a
like to test
really
it on.
interesting thing that you just touched on. What if you were to call someone out of the blue to remind them of an appointment that they didn't really make, and you play it off as, oh, I must have the wrong number. But when
You
they
could
hear
do that.
what it is, they could be leaning forward like, well, tell me, what am I missing?
I would literally send an email like that, because I was gonna, like, when your stuff is available, like test it out like on a cold email thing and be like, oh yeah, by the way, your appointment for onboarding is on Tuesday. And it'd be like, what appointment? Oh,
Yeah.
you didn't blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, because I've seen that. I have actually seen that tactic before. So that's an interesting angle.
I might test it out. What depends on, you know, when your stuff is ready for us to kind of fiddle
Yeah.
around with and have
Well,
some fun with.
it'll be ready to go next week. Next week,
Oh,
we're
okay.
going to open the initial round of testing.
Oh, nice. Because I'm intending this to, at least with one of it, to do like some cold email just to filter people out, and then
Mhm.
and before we actually start like either emailing them or even calling them first.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have that part set up, or if you know, I have to glue my stuff together. I don't know.
Well, very cool. If you want to be in on the first round of testing, make sure that you fill that beta test form out.
Oh, I did.
Okay, perfect. All right. So you'll get invited on the first round. Anybody that filled that form out is going to get the invite. Next week, I'll do a Zoom call. We'll go over, you know, all the nuances of it, how to set it up, all that stuff, and then we'll cut her loose.
Oh,
We'll
nice.
be
I'm
off to
looking
the
forward. I
races.
think it'll be fun.
Yeah, awesome. All right, Jim.
Good morning, everybody. And hello, John. We talk almost every day. I really appreciate it. I'm wondering, you know, you're giving examples of 800 leads coming in overnight. If you have a minimum budget, or if we be able to throttle and say, these are the keywords we want. And I know if we go longer tail keywords, I'll have less leads. More specificity, less leads. But would we be able to say maximum 100, and then these are the keywords?
Yes, absolutely. You can either put in a daily limit, like you can say, just give me 5 a day or 10 a day or 100 a day. or you can say, I want to do 10 a day for 5 days. So you can actually give it an end date. So, so you're not worried about, oh my God, this thing's going to run loose. You can,
Fantastic. So that's kind of like Google Ads or Facebook
Yeah.
Boost or whatever.
Yeah, it's very much modeled after their control panel. So you've got the geo, you've got the, the number of leads, all of that stuff. So, and then the
Great.
time, if you want to just run a campaign for a certain time frame, because the idea ultimately, we're not there yet, but ultimately the idea is to completely automate this into the lead generation system. And I think we're going to use SendGrid to automate the initial email contact, trying to get them into, whatever platform you use. You might be on Kartra, you might be on Kajabi, you might be on Go High Level. It doesn't really matter. As long as you're sending that lead from that first email to a landing page to opt them into that system. And then you can do your follow-up, your automated follow-up.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Looking very much forward to this round. All right, Lily, go ahead and unmute. We're not hearing you.
Hey, John, how are you?
Good.
Good. Hey, I'm such a newbie. I don't have a website yet, and I have an appointment with you to talk about what that would look like for me tomorrow. But so I'm prepared for this beta testing next week. I'm curious about the keywords that are going to be required and how to better, research that stuff. I know you have in the app program like some resources there, but is there anywhere else?
Well, with this, you don't really have to worry. Like with SEO, you really need to be specific because you're putting a lot of effort in to try and rank a keyword. With this, you don't really have that constraint. You could literally shoot from the hip. You could say, what do I think someone is going to type in? And then you can find out, you can test it super fast and figure out, are there actually people typing that in? If they're not, you just change the keywords. So it's not as nitty gritty as doing SEO. Like I said, with SEO, you're going to spend a lot of time and money and effort to rank a keyword. You better know if that keyword's good before you do it, right? Or you're going to waste a lot of time and money. With this, you could literally test this in a day. Like for instance, I had a number of keywords that I put into my first test about the SEO software. And some of the keywords I put in didn't get searched at all. And some of them got searched way more than I thought. So within one day, I had an incredible amount of data about that market. So you could literally just put a bunch in. Now, if you're going to run a small amount, like let's say your budget is only like for 5 leads a day or 10 leads a day or, whatever, you're not going to get like the full test out of that in one day. So it's going to be hard to do that, but you could actually, you could tell, excuse me, you could tell pretty quick if there's no leads for a given keyword. And that just tells you there's no market interest. That's an important thing to know. So marketing.
The important thing is, John, is that if it's not a good keyword and you don't get any leads, you're not paying for that data. You could spend a lot of money on Google Ads to find out a word doesn't work. This system doesn't cost you anything to find out that a word doesn't work. That's huge.
Yeah. And then the other thing, like let's say you're using 10 keywords, it's going to tell you which keyword for each lead. Like it'll give you on the spreadsheet what keyword they literally came in for. And then you can track that for your conversions and you can say, my God, ABC keyword converts like crazy and the rest of them don't. So let's just spend our money on the ABC keyword. And you should be able to figure that out. Like if you're putting these into a system like Kartra, it gives you conversion numbers. It'll track all of your sales records and all of your leads and all of that. And you can know pretty quick which ones convert at a good rate. And then you scale that traffic up. You know, because if you can take something and you're paying, you know, $2 for a lead and it takes you 10 leads to make a sale, you know, you've got a $20 cost of acquisition to acquire that customer. If that customer is worth, you know, $100 over the next year, then you're investing $20 to make 80 every year. That's 4 times on your money. Not going to get that in the stock market.
Perfect. Okay. So then all I have to establish is like maybe just some keywords and then a budget, what that's going to look like.
Mhm. Like you actually, honestly, you might be a little premature for traffic at this point. Because I always say put traffic on the end after you've done your market research and you've done your creation process. Because if you drive traffic in and you don't have that stuff figured out yet, you are going to waste your money. You're not going to be able to convert those leads because you don't have a sales process yet. So you might need to take a step back before you're actually ready for this. I mean, it's not like I don't want you to buy traffic from me. I just don't want you to waste your money.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, I can tell you, all of you this, traffic is not your answer. Traffic will increase your sales, but if you have 0 sales, an increase of 0 is still 0. And you have a cost, and now you're costing and you're not getting. And that is simple math. It doesn't change. There's nothing I can do about it. I would love to change it for you, but I can't. So the whole idea of the ACT process is to start at the beginning and get the market, make sure you've validated your market and you have a profitable market. You know what they want, you know why they want it. And then you go to work to create the funnel. And you're creating the messaging. That's what the funnel is. It's strictly messaging. The first part of the message is for you to grab their attention. It's like, hey, I'm over here, look at me. And then the next thing is you've got to take them to the next step, which is educating them. It's education-based marketing. You're showing them how what you have is the perfect solution for them. You're showing them how it works so their logic and reason can see, oh my God, she's right. And that creates demand and desire. Along that process, they're going to either have preconceived ideas that are objections, or objections are going to come up along the way. And the next part of the messaging is identifying those objections and eliminating them, and then finally making an offer. So if you don't have that stuff in place and you start buying leads, you are premature, and it's not going to work very well. I'm not saying that you might not sell some stuff, but it's out of order. It's out of sync. So
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
I don't want to pop your balloon, but I
No,
want
it
you
makes sense.
I
Yeah,
want to
I'm
make
glad.
sure when you lift your balloon and let it go, it goes to the sky.
That's right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Libby. Yeah, Lily, then Libby.
Hey there. Hey, you were talking about keywords, and I'm wondering, is there a way that we can know our competitors or our major competitor keywords?
Yes. If you go to, like, you identify a competitor,
Right.
you can go into a program called SEMrush,
Okay.
semrush.com. You can put their URL in there, put their domain in there, and it will tell you the keywords that they're ranking for.
Okay.
It'll give you a bunch of other data about them too. That'll tell you a lot about, what they're doing, how much traction they have.
Okay.
If they are actually a competitor,
Mhm.
a lot of times you might think they are, but they really aren't doing anything.
Yeah, the one group I'm thinking of, they're a competitor in the commonality things, and then we obviously have our own, unique thing that we do. But if somebody's just searching,
Yeah.
they wouldn't necessarily know that there is a difference.
Well, here's something that a lot of people overlook when it comes to competition. They not only underestimate their competition, they don't identify it. And what I mean by that is, let's say you were a chiropractor
Mhm.
and you think, okay, my competitors are other chiropractors.
Mhm.
And that's only a fraction of your competition,
Mhm.
because what you offer is you offer back pain relief. So
Mhm.
your competitor is anyone that offers back pain relief.
Oh, I get it. Mhm.
It might be a masseuse. It might be acupuncture. It might be an inversion table. It might be massage products. It might be supplements. It might be surgery. It might be physical therapy. You've
Right.
got a lot of competition that you are not identifying. And it's
Right.
really important to understand what that person is hearing. That's part of the initial analysis process is, what is this person? You got to walk a mile in their shoes. What are they hearing? If they're hearing everybody telling them chiropractic is quackery, you
Mhm.
better know that, because that's going to create a huge objection and you have
Mhm.
to eliminate it right up front.
Mhm.
So it's important you do that initial analysis and understand what you're really dealing with.
Cool.
So don't ever underestimate anything in this process. Never underestimate what it's going to take to make a sale. If you do, it will cost you.
Like it.
All
Thank
right,
you.
that it? Okay, cool. All right, anybody else got anything? Hey, we got the Dark Knight on board. We are blessed.
It has been a long time. You know, I'm always in the background lurking as you keep making those power moves, and I'm still trying to catch up to you.
How long have we been together, Anthony?
I
I
think
can't even
we're
remember.
I think we're hitting like a 10-year mark somewhere in that window.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to come see you next time I'm in San Diego.
Well, I was thinking the other thing too. I need to come up there, and we got a lot of ground to catch up on. It's been a while. A lot of life has happened these last couple of years. So yeah, we got a lot of catching up to do.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I expect you're gonna be a beta tester, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I got a couple of different products I want to try to see what happens with. So yeah, I hope I was one of the first to apply, but we'll see.
Well, everybody that applied on the first round is, there's no real qualification process. So everybody's in. Everybody gets a shot. We'll see. We ought to do some kind of a contest. See who can generate the most sales off these leads.
I was just, when you said that, I was thinking about that, but that can be unfair if someone's got a $19, $20, $49, $97 product. So I would like to see a contest because it'd be fun. You know, you always have a good competitive group of people. I know Gregory's on here too. So it'd be nice to see some competition for something. I don't know if it's more leads or maybe percentage or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't done it in a while. I used to do these competitions, like when I opened my reseller program, and we had some SEO offerings, and I told the resellers, I said, the first reseller or whoever opens the most new accounts in the next 90 days, I'm on a cruise with me. We did a Carnival cruise, and I said, I'll take you and a guest and I'll pay the whole thing for you. And it was crazy the amount of competition for that. And the cruise didn't cost me that much. It was probably $1,000. Probably cost me $1,000 to actually pay for this person's cruise. And I got to tell you, within the reseller group, in 90 days, they opened up over $1 million worth of accounts.
Wow.
So for $1,000 carrot, I opened $1 million worth of business in 90 days. It was crazy.
Well, come up with some kind of contest because that would be kind of fun, and maybe it is the most And see, and you can't really use conversions because that wouldn't be fair to some people that their funnel isn't fully
Yeah.
lined up. So
Yeah, I think that's the thing. We got to get everybody to actually take the ACT program seriously and get a funnel in place. There's so
True.
many people that are stuck along the process somewhere. And I think I'm going to start doing some new trainings with using AI, because I think AI is going to make it a lot simpler for everybody, especially in the analysis piece. Because I think they just kind of get caught up in that process, that whole process of figuring out who they're talking to and what the messaging should be. And I don't know if you've been on any of the calls lately, but I've been showing how to do prompting with mega prompts. Like my prompts were like 2 paragraphs long, but the output that they put out is amazing. I mean, it's far better copy than I've ever written myself.
really, because what I've been finding that the AI does for me is it does speed up the time. But my prompts, I'm about a paragraph prompt, so I got to catch up to you. But yeah, I'm putting about a paragraph in there and it does spit up. So you still got to check it though. It still wants to throw every now and then a handful of sentences that are just not related or not connected. So I caution people, don't just tell it something and then just run with it without giving a look-see. But it speeds up time,
Yeah, but I train mine. I train mine through the prompt all the way through, and it's putting out amazing content. It's pretty crazy.
All right. Well, I got to catch up to you. So you did some training on deep prompts. Okay, I'll have to find that then.
Yeah. The last couple of weeks, I think we've updated those. But another thing too, this software that we're talking about here to do the lead generation, I've also been investing in some other AI software too, to make the ACT process, a little smoother. Most of these are pre-made programs where I can just buy a reseller license to them, and then I can basically give it to everybody in the ACT program. So I'll be releasing that stuff out over the next few weeks. And one of them is Prompt Engine. If you guys have seen Prompt Engine, they did a big launch on it. And at first I was a little skeptical. I bought their initial trial offer just to play with it. And it really knocked my socks off. And I went back and I took a bigger look at their bigger offering, and they had a reseller version of it. So I went ahead and I bought that. And that'll be something that I'll be able to give all you guys anybody that's in the ACT program will get that. So it's a really cool program. It integrates with your Chat GPT, and it puts an overlay right in Chat GPT that gives you a lot more options and features. And it has a lot of script frameworks for prompts. So you can go in, you'll take the framework of a prompt, and it's like what Chat GPT does is it takes away the blank page from copywriting. What this does is it takes the blank page away from the prompt writing. So if you've got blank page syndrome on your prompt writing, this is the answer. I mean, it's not going to give you prompts like what I'll teach you how to do, but it'll give you the core framework to start from. And then you can take it from there. I don't know about you guys, but it's way easier for me to edit something than start with a blank page. That just gives me paralysis. I don't know what it is. It's like I like to start my run on a downhill slope, not an uphill slope.
John, one of the things that I've seen, and I've tried if you remember that first example I sent you that you said it sounded a little bit salesy, that was a result of a prompt. It turns out that if you go to Chat GPT and you say, okay, here is an example, and then you put a quote and you give an example, say Russell Brunson wrote a great traffic letter you like. You can just say example, quote, that sort of stuff. And then you can say in that, you identify in that letter the data that you want to replace with your data. and you pull that out. And so you say, here's the data that I want to replace. Here's the example. And then it says, do you understand? It says, yeah. So now you've put all that in there. And now you say, here's my data. And it will rewrite the whole thing using the same format, the same basic structure and outline, only it'll insert your data. So it'll basically create Russell Brunson writing your letter for whatever it is that you want in your letter, if you know what it was that was in his letter that he was talking about. And it'll swap that stuff out. And you want to talk about getting past the blank page. That is really the way to do it. If you can give it a couple examples, that's even better.
Yeah. What I did in one of the examples of mine was, David Ogilvy. He's the guy that they made the TV show Mad Men about. They called him Don Draper, I think, in the TV show. But David Ogilvy, he was the creator of the big idea. He was the one that put his mark on the big idea process. And he was a phenomenal copywriter and admin from the 50s. And some people say he's still unmatched. Everything he touched turned to gold in the ad world. And what I did was I asked ChatGPT, are you familiar with David Ogilvy's writing style? And when it said yes, I'm like, I would like you to revamp this, what you just wrote for me. I'd like you to write it in the style of David Ogilvy. And it rewrote it and it sounded like him. And I was like, holy shit. Because it used his framework. I said, are you familiar with the framework and the writing style of David Ogilvy? I'd like you to use that for me.
Yeah, David Ogilvy was the guy who did the Volkswagen ad that said it's so ugly it's cute. That's where that whole thing started with him.
Yeah, I think he also did the one for the Rolls Royce or the Bentley. The one about, it's annoying how loud the clock is.
Yeah.
Which tells you how quiet the car was, that the only thing you could hear was the ticking of the clock. I never knew how annoying a clock sound was because I could never hear it before. Yeah, he was a master at taking little things and, that normally would be negative and turn them into a positive. He was an absolute master.
How do you spell his last name?
Ogilvy, I believe it's Ogilvy. I think if you start typing it in Google, it'll autocorrect it and it'll give it to you.
That's what I always have to do.
That's what I just tried with OGEL, but I'll try OGIL.
Yeah, he has a couple of books out there. I'm a copywriter, so like those guys are familiar. Actually, one of the ad agencies that he started technically is still around.
Okay, yeah.
It's actually still around. It's like one of the biggest on the planet.
Yeah, I did. I forget which one, but I did one of the ACT sessions about ads. I think I did it around Christmas time because it was around holiday ads. We were analyzing holiday ads, and we talked about the big New York ad agencies, like back in the early 1900s, how they created the Coca-Cola campaigns with Santa Claus. And really, really cool stuff. There's a lot of just incredible stuff that's come out of ad agencies. Some brilliant marketers that you can learn a lot from. Hey, look at that.
A lot of you are older than me.
Jim says I got the spelling right. But yeah, like the other one too, the Diamonds Are Forever campaign. There was a lot of history behind that. That was an amazing campaign. And that actually changed the course of history. Prior to that, a diamond engagement ring really wasn't a thing. And after that ad campaign, that changed, like any man that was going to propose without a diamond was going to be a schmuck. It basically rewrote history. Coca-Cola rewrote history with Santa Claus. The whole persona of Santa Claus changed with that ad campaign. So
check out Listerine is another one.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
A lot of things that are common household items are household items to us because of an ad agency. They took a normal, unknown thing and made it a thing in everyone's life. It's incredibly powerful. I don't know if you guys understand the power of the messaging behind this, the stuff that I'm teaching you in ACT. I don't know if you get the power of that. This, what I'm teaching you guys is this is how the ad agencies do it. You know, they do it on a much bigger scale. But if you break down the core elements of what they're doing, it's all in the ACT program. The whole process. They don't skip, they don't fudge it, they don't change it. They've been doing it the same way for over 100 years. They don't create marketing messages until they figured out what the market is. They do all the market research up front. All the analysis is done before they put anything moving forward. And in a lot of cases, they will come back to the business, the manufacturer, whoever it is. They might come back and say, you got the product wrong. Here is the market. Here's what they want. You didn't hit the nail on the head. Let's go back to the drawing board on the product design, the product creation. And in many cases, they have come back and told the company, here's what you need to build. And the company is just a manufacturer. They can build anything. They're happy to do it. They just don't know what to build in some cases. So the ad agency can help them. They'll say, here, we can sell the crap out of this. Just make it. You make the product, we'll do the sales, and life will be grand. And that's what you guys have a massive opportunity at this, because you are all creators, whether you know it or not. You have the ability to create content that can be sold. You can create products that can be sold. I mean, I'm living proof of this. I've created one thing after another out of thin air that, you know, I used to be in the manufacturing business where we actually had to make stuff. You had to buy products and you had to build things and all that. And this is way easier. And there's just a ton, there's an absolute ton of opportunity right in front of you for knowledge. Basically, people are willing to pay for knowledge in all areas of life. And if you know a little bit more than they do about any given topic, and it's worth them to advance themselves to know that information, you've got a saleable product. And again, I wouldn't take it any further than that until I validated if this was a profitable market segment. You know, again, is there enough people to justify the sales? Do they have the money to spend, and is it worth it for them to spend it? If you can check all three of those boxes, you have a profitable market segment. Now it's time to build something to sell them. It's literally just that simple. You know, I'm activated to look for these opportunities and validate them. Like, I validate opportunity at the speed of light. I can look at something in seconds. I know if it's worth my time or not. Now, when the opportunity arose to match up AI with lead gen, I already know that market. That market is starving for leads. It's massive. It's an absolutely massive marketplace. So to me, that was as ripe an opportunity as I could have possibly ever imagined. You know, a lot of people are asking me, why did I abandon SEO? It was the right time for me to do that. With this kind of an opportunity sitting in front of me, every second that I spent on SEO is a second I'm not spending here. And I'm losing traction, and somebody is going to take me out. I want to be in the blue water first, because I can stay in it the longest that way. Just like I stayed in SEO for a long time. When something gets to the point where anybody can do it and everybody is doing it, that's my time to exit. You know, it's like in the photography thing. A lot of you know that I started in the commercial photography, and then Photoshop came out. It destroyed that industry right out from under my feet. Now, I am still going to tell you that SEO traffic is still the best traffic on the planet. There's no doubt about it. That is never going to change. When somebody is looking for something and you putting yourself in front of them, you're at the right place at the right time. It's just the competition for it. It's become very bloody. And when I look at it and I say, I can use that SEO technology to generate leads and get people where they want to go faster, cheaper, better, and stay in blue water, I'm swimming for the blue water. So a lot of people are asking me, that's the reason. That's the reason why it was time. It's time for me to move. And the other thing is I always like to go out on top. And I can literally say I was an SEO for X amount of years, never had a client banned, and I exited on top. On to the next thing. So Jim.
Yeah, I'm curious because I know a lot of people that could benefit from this leads program about your affiliate program.
Yes. And the affiliate program will be the same thing. It's not in place yet because we're still in the beta testing, but we'll definitely be doing affiliate on this. I think the way I'm going to structure the lead program when we actually roll it out to the public is they will pay a monthly access fee to access the platform. And then they can all buy the leads at a set price. So they can buy the leads and it'll probably keep the leads, at $1.99 each. So it's under $2. We'll also have, and this is part of the thing that's holding us up, we're building at the same time when we release it. My goal is not to release this as a public thing. My goal is to release this as a reseller platform. So for all of our resellers to take this and white label it as their own and sell it to their customers. So you could create client accounts for this. They could manage their own keywords and their own program or whatever. And then all the ad revenue flows back up the hill to you. So that's my idea, because I never really want to be in the front end of anything. I don't want to be selling this out to the public. Just like I did with SEO, I want to sell it to the resellers and let them, give them an opportunity to grow a massive business off of me just staying in the shadows. That's where I want to be. I'm only forward facing to this group. If you notice that, I don't do stuff outside this group. You don't find me out on social media. You don't find me, if you find me on Facebook, you're seeing me play on my boat and do fun stuff. I'm not pushing business on Facebook. When I'm talking business, it's in this group to this group. No one else gets the benefit. So that's just the way I do it. So the resellers will basically be the big beneficiaries of this. So if I can, if I make, a few cents a lead off this and I'm selling 1 million leads a month, which I plan on hitting 1 million leads a month really quickly. That'll keep me in the shadows. I don't need to be out on the front. I can let you all be the heroes. I don't need to be the hero. I'll be Alfred for you. So, all right. Other questions?
Hey, John, I got a quick problem I've been trying to find since you've been brought up AI. I need AI for graphics. Have you played with any of the graphics versions of this stuff? That really works.
I can tell you, I played around with, I haven't played around with Stable Diffusion yet, but that is the one that I am told is the one to have. I played around with, what's the one that works in Discord? I forget the name of it. You probably know. Midjourney. Yeah, I've played around with Midjourney, and I got actually pretty far with Midjourney. I created my spokesmodel, Becky. I created her in there, and then I found that, once I created her and I wanted to use her over and over in different poses and different outfits, it was not giving me the same girl. And I'm like, come on, I'm giving you the same prompt. You're giving me somebody totally different every time I hit the button. So what I found that I had to do is I had to take the base image of her that I liked, and I put that as part of the prompt. So then it knew, okay, we're starting with this image and we're just giving her different clothes. And then it did perfect. So it really is a matter of just figuring out the language of how to talk to the machine and get what you want out of it. But I know Stable Diffusion, some of the guys that are more arty, they have more of an art background, like they're Mac guys, they're into visuals and graphics and all that. They love Stable Diffusion. I think it's got much more power, much more control and all that. One of the programs that I actually bought a reseller version of is supposedly it's a combination of Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, and some other one, and it's supposed to be spectacular. But I have not tested it yet. In fact, if you want to email me, I can give you access to it because I have it. I just haven't had a chance to play with it yet.
Vinci?
It's not DaVinci. DaVinci is a base core code of AI. That's like the one that ChatGPT runs off of. It's kind of like the core. They don't allow unrestricted use of DaVinci because it's a little too powerful for mankind. It would tell you things that you shouldn't ought to want to know. So that's kind of a dangerous mechanism that they throttle pretty hard. But no, this one, it's a combination of the graphics AI programs. They've supposedly put stuff together, and I did the same thing. I got another one. I forget the name of that one too, but it combined Bard, ChatGPT, and another generative AI program. And when I used it, I set it up and I used it for myself. And I asked the question that I asked it, I was looking for the name of what I should name the program. And I told it all about me, all about my business, what I wanted it to do, a big long prompt like I always do. And I said, I'd like a domain name that is available that matches the product name for this chatbot. And Bard gave me a list of 10, none of which were available, which was a big waste of my time. I went down looking at these and nope, that one's not available. That's not. And I asked it only for available domain names. And then I did ChatGPT, and I think it gave me 3 that none of them really tickled my fancy. And when I checked, they weren't available either. And then I asked again, and it gave me some really bizarre ones. And then I asked my own, the one that I put together with the melding of the 3. And it gave me what I thought was like, wow, why didn't I think of that? It's so simple. And it was called actchatbot.com. Looked it up and it was available. I'm like, holy shit. So that is another one that I'm going to make available to you guys if you want to use that. So, but the other 2, none of them came up with Act Chatbot. And I'm thinking, well, that's so apparent and simple. Why didn't I think of that? But it didn't give me options. It said, here, this is the one, and it's available. So it was exactly what I asked for. So that was pretty cool.
All right.
Pretty cool stuff. But yeah, the AI, I mean, anybody that doesn't think AI is going to change the game is delusional. This is a very powerful tool. This is like when the television came out and people rejected it saying, no, that's just a toy. This is like when the home computer came out and said, well, that'll never fly. It's like you always have these people that are anti. And generally the ones that are anti anything are the ones that stand the most to lose from that thing taking over. And they're trying to fight it and they never win. And it's like Bill Gates, a perfect example. How many of you guys saw his statement when the internet came out and he said, that's just a fad? He wasn't going to create browsers. He was like, that's just a fad, right? And then shortly after, he came back and he had to eat his words and said, well, I may have misjudged that a little bit. You think? It was because he had something to lose. It wasn't in his wheelhouse. And so he's going to say, that's bad. Don't look at that. Look at me. Just stay on the track. I want you on the track. I don't want you to veer off. Anybody that's telling you anti-AI, that's their thing. They want you on the track. They want you to stay focused on the rail they want to keep you on. And that will prevent you from a major opportunity.
I just wanted to tell you that I'm a doctor, and it takes 17 years for a new idea to actually take hold with doctors. They're just like that. You know, don't confuse me with new stuff.
Yeah, and it's very much like everybody.
It bothers me big time.
Yeah, Rick, go ahead.
What you just said, John, is absolutely true. Going back to 1983, I was in a startup for computer hardware. We did importing from Taiwan and Japan, making PC clones. And I was 26 at the time, and went out to bankers. You know, back when banking was, you know, 3-piece blue suits and white shoes or black shoes and white shirts. And I had several bankers that were older that told me, because we were looking for financing and funding, that computers were a fad. They were never going to last.
Yeah. Oh, I heard the same thing when I started moving my business into the internet. I just caught it from all angles. I had my father-in-law just going ballistic, telling me, oh, I wouldn't put any of my eggs in that basket. And I'm like, well, you clearly don't understand the basket. But, you know, another example is BlackRock. Mr. Fink, the head of BlackRock, the biggest asset manager in the world. In 2017, there's a clip of him saying that the whole crypto industry is nothing more than a mechanism for money laundering. Don't look at it. Ignore it. It's bad. And then this year, that was 2017. So 5 years later, listen to his comment about it now. It's the best thing since sliced bread. It's going to change the world. It's going to revolutionize the financial world 10 times over. It's like, how did we go from a money laundering thing to the best thing in the world? You know, that's what they do. They don't want you off the rail. Once they realize, hey, you're off the rail anyway, and you ain't coming back, then they get behind it. But the people that make the most money, I believe, are the ones that get off the rail first. The ones that take advantage and get their roots in and really go for a ride. Because, you know, all of these, AI is just another wave. There's been many waves throughout my lifetime. And if you're going to catch a wave, you got to start paddling before it gets to you. Otherwise, it passes you by. If you're not in the right position and you're out in front of it when it crashes, and you're going to get pummeled. That's the thing with waves. There's 3 things. You're either going to miss it, you're going to get crushed by it, or you're going to get a beautiful ride. It's the only 3 options you got with a wave.
But John, crypto doesn't exist. There's no reality to it. One solar flare and it all disappears. I don't understand, you know, that I get what you're saying is true. And yet it really is, you know, the only way I would do it is like the wiggling to success, where every day you're taking a few pennies out and it's actually spendable, like real money, dollar stuff. Because that's the place where crypto will actually create money. I still don't know where all these billions of dollars are that are just nothing more than an entry on a blockchain. You know, you put real money in, but I don't see where the real money comes out. But I'll trust you that it works somewhere. But it's very strange.
Well, most people don't really understand what it is. It's just like AI. Most people don't understand what it is. When I heard what it was, it blew my mind. I still can't get my head wrapped around. There's no database. I'm like, how is that even possible? I don't understand it. But what I also realized is I don't need to know how all the mechanics and the engine run to drive the car and get the benefit of transportation, right? What I can tell you about the crypto is there's probably in excess of 30,000 different cryptos now. Most of them are trash. Most of them are just scammers jumping on the bandwagon. But there's a handful of them that have what is called utility. And crypto, just so you know, crypto is software. When you invest in crypto, when you purchase a cryptocurrency, whether it's a Bitcoin or an Ethereum or an XRP or whatever, you're purchasing a piece of the software. And the differences from that to a stock is when you purchase a stock, you're purchasing a piece of a company. So if the value of the company goes up, your stock goes up, you can cash it out and you can make money. The stock can also go down. The only way you're going to lose money is if you cash it out when it's down below what you paid for it. So the crypto is very, very similar to that. The only difference being you're investing in a piece of a software versus a company. And when you invest in a piece of software that actually has real world utility, the chance of its value going up is exponential over one that's just some game that may or may not be here tomorrow. The cryptocurrencies that I invest in are the ones that they're planning to run the rails of the financial future on. It's like betting on Amazon. If you happen to be in the internet in the beginning when the dot-com bomb happened, that's exactly what's going to happen with crypto. I can tell you unequivocally, it is going to happen. There's going to be a bomb that destroys the majority of it. And you're going to get a hand out the other side smelling like a rose. And it's going to be the ones with utility, the ones that the world is building as a backbone.
You broke up there, John. Say that part again. I didn't follow the bomb because you really broke up. And
okay.
Repeat that. Sorry.
So the dot-com bomb in the internet, when all the companies that people were throwing ridiculous money at blew up and they all disappeared, like pets.com and all those, they just blew up. There was no value to them. With crypto, it's the same thing. There's a gazillion of them that have no value. They're just based on junk. But there's a handful of them that are based on real world utility. And the utility that I'm most interested in is the financial markets. I know those are going to run the world. All the money is going to be moved across cryptocurrency. Fiat currencies is going to disappear. Everyone in the government is saying it. Every government around the world is saying it.
That's why they're creating their own fiat digital currency, right?
Yeah, they are. And all of it is going to move on the rails of the utility cryptos. Because remember, it's all software. It takes software to drive it because they're going to digitize everything. And the software, the ledgers, are going to keep track of it all. And that's where the utility comes in. That's where the value, that's where the Amazon is going to come in. If you would have bought Amazon during the dot-com bomb when everything fell apart, Amazon was the one that rose out of the ashes. Google rose out of the ashes. If you would have invested just pennies in those at that given point in time, you'd be a multi-millionaire right now. And that's what is about to happen in crypto. You got to get the right ones and they will raise out of the ashes like Amazon did. Yes, Helene?
What utility cryptos are you invested in?
Me personally, I'm invested heavily, most heavily in XRP.
XRP.
That's the one that the banks are going to run their backbone on. Its utility is cross-border payments and on-demand liquidity. And it's worldwide. You can look it up, go to YouTube and just put in XRP. There's a ton of videos that'll tell you all about it. It's a massive utility in the finance world.
Even with the lawsuit against XRP?
Yes, there's an SEC lawsuit since I think it was 2022 or 2020, maybe. It's been a long-standing lawsuit. The SEC is trying to slow it down. It's in the US, and it's hard for people to actually buy it in the US because of that lawsuit, which was the whole point of the lawsuit. They don't want us to have it. It's just like, Mr. Fink at BlackRock. It's a scam. Don't do it. Look over here. That's all that lawsuit is. It makes absolutely no sense. If you look at what the lawsuit is and what they're claiming and questioning, the judge doesn't. The reason the lawsuit's been going on so long is the judge really knows. It's a no-win solution for her. It's a no-win outcome for her. She is going to be a bad guy no matter what she decides. And she's waiting for the Congress to actually put clarity so she doesn't have to make the decision. That's why she's dragging it out.
Exactly. I actually write for a lot of those crypto companies and stuff like that. And like I read the white papers and everything. Like the XRP thing, that's literally what it is. If she makes that decision, she's the bad guy.
Yeah.
And in the crypto space, you have a lot of decisions that they're literally waiting for Congress to pass. So there's a lot of different court cases besides XRP or with XRP within the United States and with other cryptos over the same issue. And like people have gotten arrested, and it's like a non-issue because it's like you can't have both. You can't say, well, it's a financial vehicle and then it's not a financial vehicle. You can't have both in terms of how regulators are kind of currently handling it. But like we're basically waiting for Congress, because I've been a big fan of blockchain technology and stuff like that. So we're just waiting, because eventually someone has to make a decision.
Exactly. And the idea, again, of saying blockchain and crypto is bad is like saying AI is bad. It's like saying quantum computing is bad. It's like saying the internet was bad. Everybody is going to oppose it until they ride it, because it's new. Nobody likes new stuff. They don't like unfamiliarity. So they're just going to push it off and say, nope, don't look over there. Stay on the track. I don't want to change my business model. But to think that all three of those coming together at the same time, you got blockchain, you got AI, and you have quantum computing, all converging at the same time in history, there's nothing ever been like it. Not in my lifetime and not in any lifetime prior to mine. There's never been the opportunity like is what's laying at our feet right now. I mean, it's awesome. This is the time to be alive. Yeah, there's some craziness going on in the world, but if you ever wanted to get ultra wealthy, there's never been a better time with the opportunities that are available to us. To me, it's absolutely flabbergasting. When I look back,
your new cheap leads, John, will position us all to be ready to buy lots of XRP before the next election.
I just hope it's not too late. Because like Lauren said, as soon as Congress comes out and gives this thing clarity, it could potentially shoot to the moon in a very, very short time frame.
It won't happen in this Congress, but it will in the next one when the Democrats take back all three houses.
I hope so. I hope it happens regardless of who's in where. I don't care. As long as they make the right decision and they give it clarity, that's the right thing to do. Whoever does it, I don't care.
It's kind of like for some of us, because I have crypto right now, but it's like there's certain crypto like I can't get on the natural channels because of the decisions that are currently like going. So you got to go through other channels to kind of get what you want to get. But it's like it's a big opportunity, I think, if you're smart with it. Like I always go for, what is this thing? Because I used to do the research and write the papers for these companies. Like, what is the thing? What is the utility? What is it tied to? Who's doing what? And pay attention to all that. And it's like, I remember when saying, hey, you write for crypto was like got you banned from writing for other companies because they thought you were writing scam stuff. Like I get like I've gotten
Yeah.
so many conversations. They were like, oh no, you must be a scammer. I was like, no, I was like this blockchain and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh no, you can't write for us.
I had the same thing when I went into the internet in 95. I had people looking at me like I was from Mars. They didn't understand it. They didn't like it. They didn't think it was any good. And they thought I was a nut job for even talking about it. And you know, I had, it was funny because one of those people, when I told them about blockchain, said the same thing. I said, do you remember this conversation from about 25 years ago? Do you remember? Look at where I am today and look at where you are today. How did that work out for you? All you would have to do was listen to me. You didn't. How did that work out for you? Here's another opportunity. All you got to do is listen to me and you'll see how it's going to work out for you.
And you don't have to do a lot. That's the thing about like whether it's crypto or anything else. Like some, you know, some people like I rather have the regret that I didn't put enough versus I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
That's how I
yeah.
look at it.
And again, it's like the wave. You're in position, but you have to paddle. You know, if you don't paddle, the wave will pass you by. You got to do something. It's just like marketing. You can learn all about marketing. You could be an expert in marketing, but unless you actually do something, the wave is going to pass you by. You know, what's going to happen? You're going to grow old and die. And if you haven't done anything prior to that, the wave has passed you by. You know, so don't let the wave pass you by. Ride that thing. It's meant to be ridden.
Right.
And
You have
they
any groups
keep
about
coming.
crypto?
What's that?
I said, do you have any like groups of stuff that you would recommend you talk about it?
I actually run a crypto group where that's our main focus. We have like a crypto mastermind, and we meet like once a month, and I've got in there. We have a Discord group. I've got all the stuff that I'm in, and it's all heavy utility stuff.
Oh, cool. Nice. I would like to see or join because that's my thing. But I'm always from the science because I have a data perspective on it.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm more like I understand
Well,
why this works.
yeah, one of the things Richard had touched on was they have robotic trading where you can trade it, you know, on autopilot. And, you know, I was showing people how I was doing that. And I've been doing the trading for a couple of years. And I was showing people how I was doing that, making on average, about 10% per month with the robotic trading. So it was, I am actually, full transparency, I'm sliding out of that right now too, because I know how it's going to go. I've seen this wave before. I saw it with regulation on the internet with e-commerce. And it was like the Wild West, which is where we are right now in crypto. So there's so much commonality to the crypto space and the online space when I went through it the first two waves. This is the third wave of the internet. The first wave was communication. It was email communication. The second wave was commerce, transacting online. And the third wave is going to be the blockchain. Every wave has had the exact same pattern. And, you know, where we are now is we're at that point now where regulation is going to come in and it's going to take away some opportunity that was prior available. Now in the commerce wave, and the first wave was email. It was bulk email before spam was a problem and it was regulated. If you were in bulk email prior to the spam thing, you probably made a fortune. I got a little bit of a ride on that wave and it was phenomenal. It was spectacular. And then it got ruined and then it got regulated. And the next wave in commerce, I had sold online over $100 million in sales. I had moved $100 million in sales through my client sites by sending them SEO traffic without any sales tax. $100 million untaxed. there came a day when regulation came in and they said, you must collect sales tax on all online orders. That day, I called all my clients. I said, I got to put the commerce modules in for tax. The free ride is over. They never went back. They never looked back. They never tried to collect the tax prior to the regulation. So it was all free and clear to that point. The same thing with the trading. When they put the regulation in, they won't look back, but the free ride will be over. So for me, it's time to exit that train because the free
What do you
ride.
mean the free ride is, what free ride is over? What's going to change that would change you from getting out of that form of crypto trading?
All of the tax regulation for it, all of the reporting, like the robots will do over 100,000 transactions a week. Can you imagine reporting that on your taxes? That would be crazy. There'd be crazy amount of data and paperwork to do your taxes properly. So I don't want to deal with that. So I have gone in, I've done my damage, and I'm going to be out before that regulation goes into place. And again, I've seen it twice. This is the third wave. It looks the same. It smells the same. It's acting the same. And I bet you it's going to do the same. It's become a pattern. It's predictable. So having seen the first two, I saw this one way up front and I jumped into it. I paddled my little ass off on that one. and because of it, I'm in really good possession for when the crypto takes off. When the regulation goes in place, I am perfectly positioned for it. So, and I apologize, I didn't mean to turn this into a crypto call. It's supposed to be a marketing call, but
I thought you said you were getting out of it when the regulation comes in place.
no, just the trading part.
Trading.
I'm still holding it. I'm going to hold it for when it goes up, and then you sell it, at the top, or you hold it, for legacy wealth. So it's just the trading part I'm getting out of.
Okay.
The trading part is how I've been making money with it for the last 2 years, not to make the money. I haven't pulled a dime out of crypto. Not one dime have I taken out of crypto. I've only put into it, but the trading I've done to make money to buy more. So it's just to accumulate more. And now I've accumulated all I really need. And now I'm done and I'm out before the regulation. So I timed it perfectly. Only because I've seen the wave twice. I knew what it looked like. And I'm like, I'll be damned if I'm not going to take advantage of this one this time. It would be foolish for me to know what a wave looks like, know how to ride it, and not do it. I got little rides on the first two, and this one I think I'm going to get the ride of a lifetime. So, and AI is the same thing. AI is it's the same kind of wave. It's got a little different flavor to it. It's it's not near as familiar to me, but nonetheless, I still see the opportunity in it, and I see the horsepower of it. And I'm not going to just sit on the sidelines and watch from the grandstands. I'm paddling out.
Okay.
Anything else before we wrap up here?
Minds are blown, John. We're sitting here trying to recover.
Well, I apologize, but
Thank you, John. Be well. Have a great
right. Thank
Thursday.
you, Janie.
Yeah, John, don't you dare back off for us here. This is why we show up every week for this good stuff here. So thank you.
That's why I'm here. Share the wealth.
Amazing, John. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
you, John.
Have a great week, and we will talk to you all next week.
All righty.
Thanks,
John,
John.
bye-bye.
Have a great week, everyone.